Hello my loves, it's Monica and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited today because I have just a huge book haul that I am buzzing to share with you all. I've been so hyped for all of these books and I've been wanting to discuss them with you guys for so long. So I'm really excited to dive in. I acquired a lot of these during my time in Europe, so really excited to talk about some of those. I have a couple like vintage books and then a bunch of these I've just acquired like during my recent bookshop crawl that I did with my friends Cindy and Elena and just like throughout the city in general. So I'm really excited to just share all these books with you guys and hear your thoughts on them. I'd love to hear if you've read any of these or if there are any books that you've recently hauled. Please let me know in the comments down below. But before I dive into all the books that I have acquired over the past few months, I do want to give a big thank you to this video sponsor, and that is Book of the Month. So Book of the Month, if you're unfamiliar, is a super popular and fast-growing book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and, of course, help readers discover books they love. The way that it works is that their team vets hundreds of books each month, and then from that provides readers with a curated selection of new and early release titles so that you can spend more time reading and less time researching. I love that they give such a diverse range of novels too, from a variety of genres, so there's really something for everybody. But if there happens to just not be a book that strikes your fancy one month, you can simply skip that month and you won't be charged. And I also love that Book of the Month has the best price for new release and hardcover fiction, and you can get your first book for just $9.99 if you use my code Monica. And I'm personally so excited for one of the picks for this month. So my pick for this month, and the one that I'm most excited for, is The Stardust Thief, and this is by Chelsea Abdullah, and this book sounds phenomenal. Oh my goodness. So in this book we follow Luli, who is a midnight merchant, and basically she hunts down and sells illegal magic with her bodyguard, and at the beginning of the novel she ends up saving the life of this like cowardly prince, and in doing this she gets thrown into this quest set by the Sultan in order to find this mysterious artifact that can revive this like very barren land, but the cost will be the lives of all jinn. And so this just sounds so good, so magical. I love a quest novel, so I'm really excited for this one. It just sounds phenomenal. If you'd like to check out all of this month's selections, I will have a link in my description box below, and again, you can use my code Monica in order to get your first book for just $9.99. So now moving on to the other books I have recently picked up. I guess we could start with Europe. Why not? Okay, so I was in Paris, Amsterdam, and London. I vlogged my Paris and Amsterdam trips. I didn't vlog London. I kind of gave myself a little bit of a break there because I was staying with a friend who I just hadn't really gotten to hang out with in years, and it was just amazing to spend time with her again and like see her in the flesh again. It was so cool. But of course I did a bit of book shopping. I didn't really do a ton of book shopping in Paris, but I did pick up one book that I'm really excited about. I'm very intrigued by. So there is this like vintage bookshop, I think it's called Justement maybe, and it is just this really beautiful bookshop that we went to, and they had a lot of like vintage novels there, and so I picked this one up. First of all, I just thought it was stunning. Like I saw it and I was like, ooh, what is that? It's called The Crooked Wall by Faith Compton Mackenzie, and I'm obsessed with this cover and the spine. So basically this is a Victorian set romance novel, but it's from the 1950s, and there's something about that that I just love. I just love the idea of that. I'm so excited to read about like the 1950s view of like Victorian romance, you know, like the Victorian bodice ripper of the day. I just think that sounds phenomenal, and I'm very excited. I read the first few pages and they're just like so silly and fun. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. And again, I mean, I'll be honest, a good chunk of the reason that I purchased it is because it was just so darling to look at. I just thought it was so pretty. So hopefully the inside matches the outside and I enjoy it just as much. If any of you have like read this by any chance, I would love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, I didn't really find much about it online either, like not very many reviews, so seems to be a bit of a forgotten novel. So I always love finding things like that too, so very, very excited for this one. And then Amsterdam is when I really started to acquire some more books. So the first one I'm actually almost done reading. Finally, it's taken me a minute. This one's taken me a while to get through, I'll be honest, in a good way though, and that is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. And I knew I needed this one because the cover was just so pretty. I recognize that is kind of a theme in this haul, but you know what, a pretty cover really does a lot. I much prefer the UK or European editions of this series over the US ones. In this first book, we follow Fitz, who is the bastard son of the soon-to-be or the to-be king of this kingdom, and he is like discovered at the beginning and is like thrown into court, and it's really just like about him growing up, this first book, and I knew that going into it. So my friend Reagan, this is like one of her favorite series of all time. She loves this world and has been trying to convince me to read it for so long, and I've been wanting to. I'm just really bad at reading things sometimes, so I finally picked it up and she was not wrong. She never leads me astray. If you're like me and you love like really interesting like character building and like in-depth character building and really getting to see a character grow, you'll love this. Like that is basically what this first book is it's him from when he's like 5 years old into a young adulthood, and you just really get to like watch him grow up in this world and like see all the things that create the man that he becomes. There are like some magical, scary things happening, but it's very much like still kind of back burner. And I love that. I love a very like good, slow world building kind of fantasy you can really sink your teeth into, and that is what this book is. And it's just so much fun, and I love the characters in this book. I think that's the thing that like really sells this book for me, is like Fitz's character obviously, but just in general, like all the characters just feel so rich and full of life, and I fully love all of them, and I want to like continue getting to know all of them, and I'm already so nervous about anything bad happening to certain ones. So yeah, I really am loving this, and I'm so happy that I picked it up whilst I was in Amsterdam so I could start it while I was in Europe and have like all these fond memories also attached to it. The other book I picked up in Amsterdam is Lud in the Mist, and this is by Hope Merlees, and I saw this on like the fantasy shelf and I was like, that looks different from all the other books on the fantasy shelf, because it's like this very pretty floral design, looks very like Jane Austen-y. So I picked it up and I read the blurb from Neil Gaiman on the front, which says the single most beautiful and unjustifiably forgotten novel of the 20th century. And you guys know I love reading novels that have kind of been forgotten, because I always just feel like I'm finding some sort of like hidden gem or like special thing. And I read this during my time in London and I absolutely loved it. Oh my goodness, this was so good. I would recommend this to anyone if you like Jonathan Strange or Mr. Norrell, or if you wanted to like Jonathan Strange or Mr. Norrell but it was just too long for you. I highly recommend this book. This is a pre-Tolkien fantasy written by a woman, a probably queer woman. There's no like concrete proof, but basically a lot of people do believe that Hope Merlees was queer. So I love that this book has kind of been has kind of had a second life to it, because it definitely deserves it. It's so fun. It's just like a comedy of manners kind of novel. Like if you love Jane Austen, this is a great recommendation for you. It's got like some good mystery in there, a bit of a ghost story vibes, but at the end of the day it is very much that like the feeling of reading it is kind of like reading a Jane Austen novel. Like it very much has that comedy of manners kind of sentimentality to it, or feeling to it. So yeah, if you like Jane Austen, if you like a good sort of fairy hijinks kind of novel, then I think you'd like this one. It's a good one to pick up, and I had such a fun time reading it. It's definitely very verbose, I will put that out there. Like there's just a ton of description, and I love that. But if you don't like that, then you might not like this one as much. But if you do love some really beautiful description and just kind of being able to slowly unravel a good puzzle of a novel, I think you'd like this one too. So yeah, that is Blood in the Mist. So some of you might know that one of my favorite books of all time is The Diviners by Libba Bray. It is, in my opinion, one of the greatest YA series ever written, and I live in a perpetual frustration that it has not gotten enough love. I mean, like, I feel like you and I, like, here on the bookternet, booktube, book talk, like, if you're on the internet and you're involved in the book community, you probably have heard of The Diviners. You've probably read The Diviners. But outside of this sphere, I just feel like it has not gotten that, like, mainstream love that I just feel like the series deserved, and I will forever dream of one day it being adapted because it would just do so well. Anyways, I'm gonna try and not have a verbose tangent about The Diviners. I love The Diviners. I hate the covers for The Diviners. Truly some of the most atrocious covers ever created. Like, the first one was immaculate, and then after that it was just horrible. Just absolute atrocities done to these books. They're just so bad. But then Fairy Loot came out with a special set of the books, recovered in hardcover, with taking the original cover in mind in order to create a full set of just beautiful books. And I missed the launch. I missed the launch. They sold out. I didn't realize it until like a week later. Didn't even realize they existed until a week later, because I don't really like follow those things, you know? Like, I'm not normally someone who like collects, like goes out of the way to collect versions of books that I love, you know? And then I saw this and I cried. I cried because I was so upset that I missed it. And I reached out to them, and they, as fate would have it, had one more set available. And so I bought that set immediately, and that is the set, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys because it's so beautiful. So here is the first book, The Diviners. It has like the most beautiful gold foiling. It reminds me a lot of the there's like versions of F. Scott Fitzgerald's books that kind of are in this style also. So it's like that original Diviners cover plus that like F. Scott Fitzgerald like Art Deco inspired design. And I just feel like if these books had these covers throughout the whole series, I just feel like it would have done so much better. Anyways, also black sprayed edges, so beautiful. So that's the first one. Then we have my favorite in the series, which is Lair of Dreams, which is so beautiful, and I have like new illustrations for each of them. So this one is a deck of cards. Oh, they're tarot cards. And they're beautiful, absolutely stunning. I love that it's red. Then there is Before the Devil Breaks You, stunning. Again, this one is a beautiful like royal blue, so pretty. And then finally the last one, The King of Crows, which is this stunning emerald green, and I just love these. So it's gonna be hard to hold these up, but here they are all together, absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness, I am just so happy to own these and to have like a beautiful set of The Diviners that I can read and reread and just have on my shelf forever. These are definitely books that I will be treasuring for many years. So I did realize I did have one more book from my trip that I wanted to share, and this one I picked up in London when I was hanging out with my friend Sana, and we went to Foyles, and I picked up Sunlin Ascends, and this is by Josiah Bancroft, and this is a fantasy novel inspired by the Tower of Babel, which is so exciting. I have never read any fantasy stories inspired by the Tower of Babel, so very excited and keen to read this one. So in this book we follow Thomas Sunlin, who is a mild-mannered headmaster, and he prefers to just live within the pages of a book and not really go on these big adventures on by himself. But then one day his soon-to-be bride is abducted, and this sends him into the Tower of Babel, which is a world of geniuses and tyrants, of menace and wonder, of unusual animals and mysterious machines. He must endure betrayal, assassination attempts, and the long guns of a flying fortress, and if he hopes to ever see his wife again, he will have to do more than just survive. This quiet man of letters must become a man of action. I just think that sounds so fun, and I'm very, very excited to see just this author's like interpretation of the Tower of Babel in this setting. So yeah, it sounds amazing. Sorry for any movements, I had to change my camera battery, but the next book that I picked up is one that I ended up picking up after my time in London, because honestly throughout my entire time in Europe and London, I was trying to find this book in a bookstore and I couldn't find it anywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere in store in New York, so I ended up just having to order it, which is a little bit sad because I don't know, I always perceived this book as being kind of like a classic in the fantasy genre. Anyways, the book is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier, and I ended up picking this one up because while Paloma Reagan and I were in Paris, Paloma just talked really highly about this book and how much she enjoyed reading it. And Paloma, if you watched my Paris vlog and my Amsterdam vlog, is my friend who lives in London, and yeah, she just really enjoyed this book and talked about how much she loved it, and it made me want to read it, so I ended up ordering a copy. And yeah, it just sounds super whimsical. I know that this author is really well known for their folklore inspired fantasy novels, and this one in particular, we follow Sorsha, who is the Light of the Seven Waters clan, but then one day her new stepmother bewitches her brothers and her father from her, and so she ends up going on this quest in order to try and save them, and the way that she has to do that is by not speaking in order to like fulfill this quest by the fairy queen. But then she ends up being kidnapped by enemy forces, and during this time period maybe finds true love, and that like tests her like quest because she's like, she has to choose between like true love and her family, and it sounds very complicated, very angsty, but also just like very beautiful and like whimsical, and just like exactly what I'm kind of in the mood for right now. I just kind of want like some fairy hijinks and some forest shenanigans. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I haven't talked about this one yet. So I have If You Change Your Mind by Robbie Weber. So Robbie is my wonderful friend whose book just came out, and this is a gay, like cute rom-com kind of book. It's inspired by like classic rom-coms, and I am just so excited for this one. So in this book we follow Harry, who wants nothing more than to be a screenwriter, and he's entering into this screenwriting competition before college, and he has decided to swear off all distractions, basically boys, and but of course, as life would have it, two boys end up entering into his life: Grant, his first heartbreak, and then another boy, Logan, who is the new boy in town. And this one just sounds so summery, so cute. Honestly, gives me major Sarah Dessen vibes as someone who like loves Sarah Dessen. So I'm really excited to just have this book in my hands. Definitely gonna be my like cute summer contemporary pick for this year. Then I also ended up getting sent a copy of The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio, and I've actually already read this. I read it during Readathon, and I loved it. Oh my goodness, I had no concept for how much I was going to just fall in love with this book. It's so whimsical, so fun, so swoony. Like, it just has all the things that I love. It really felt like also like had those like K-drama vibes, you know, like when you have like, if you've ever watched like Cinderella and the Four Knights, or a show like that where you have like a girl and then like the sort of like found family with all these guys, and of course one of them is in love with her. Like, yeah, anyways, it's just like the best vibes and so much fun, and I loved all the like mythology that was weaved throughout it. It was, yeah, just such a good book, and this is stunning. Like, this cover is genuinely one of the most beautiful covers, and I love the like it's very like classily done. There's like a little bit of red foiling on the red string of fate. I love it. I love it so, so much. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, very hyped to have a copy of this one. And then I have a couple other Korean novels. These ones I picked up the other day. So first of all is one that I've been meaning to pick up for a while. I keep seeing it and kind of being like, oh, I kind of want to read that one. It seems to be getting a lot of buzz, and that is My Brilliant Friend. In this book, we follow a boy who is turning 16, and he's always sort of lived life vicariously through the stories of his parents, and he is working on this manuscript that is like the story of his parents falling in love. All of the blurbs of it are basically about like how it made them cry. This novel snuck up on me and captured my heart. Heartfelt, hilarious, and full of wonder. A moving, earnest, and deeply felt exploration of a unique family in all its joys and disappointments. I do think that they're like, I'm not sure, but I think the main character is maybe aging very rapidly. I think that's part of it. At least that was kind of what I got from the little like opening prologue, but I'm not 100% sure. So I think that's something I'll discover as I read the book. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this is probably gonna make me cry, but it also sounds really beautiful, and I love translated Korean novels, so very excited to have this one on my shelf. This next one I actually already started and I'm really enjoying. It's Princess Bari, and this cover is absolutely stunning. And my roommate and friend Kaylee found this one in the bookshelves when we were at McNally Jackson and pointed it out to me, and I had to get it. It's basically a kind of retelling of the actual myth of Princess Bari, or inspired by. Princess Bari, the main character, is a young girl, frail and brave, who escapes from famine and death in North Korea in the 1990s. Seeking refuge in China before crossing oceans in the hold of a cargo ship, she disembarks in London. Alone in a strange land, Bari finds work as a masseuse, but she doesn't just heal the body. She comforts souls, having learnt from her beloved grandmother to read the pain and nightmares of others. The story is like about this girl who is escaping North Korea and building a life in a new land, but it's also like weaving in the story of Princess Bari, and yeah, I'm very excited to continue with this one. I love the writing so far. So a while back I read Olive Blake's The Atlas Six, and I really enjoyed it. I do think I am intrigued to reread it at some point, because I've been intrigued to see like how the new version, the version that just got published by Macmillan, by Tor, how it compares to the original, because I think my one big criticism of that original book is that I kind of just wished it had like one pass through with an editor or something, but otherwise I really enjoyed it. I do also think like a big part of why I enjoyed it is because I read it without knowing any of the hype. Like I literally just saw it randomly it was at a Barnes & Noble, which is kind of shocking because I feel like Barnes & Noble does not typically have self-published books on their shelves, but this one just happened to be in a Barnes & Noble, and I bought it, and because it literally just looked intriguing on the shelf. And then I got home and I hauled it, and so many of you all told me that it had been like going viral. So I feel like that really worked in my favor, because I had no context or no hype leading me into this story. I was able to just kind of go into it without any sort of expectations, and I do think that helped with like how much I really enjoyed and loved that book, because I did. It was so much fun. I thought it was amazing. I loved the characters, loved the plot, loved the story, so I wanted to pick up more by the author. So I went and picked up Alone with You in the Ether by Olive Blake, because I thought it was just really pretty. Again, I feel like she has just some of the most beautiful self-published covers, and I picked this one up based purely on cover. I didn't really want to know anything going into it, and then since then I feel like it has been also going absolutely viral, because I will go on TikTok and I'll see someone like holding up this book and talking about how it changed their life, and I try immediately to scroll away from those videos. I don't want it to hype me up for it, because then I end up getting too hyped for something and I either never read it, or I kind of am let down by it. So I try. If I've already purchased a book or already intend on purchasing a book, to then skip over like really hyped up reviews of that. To be honest, I don't know a ton about this one other than it follows two people who fall in love. And that was all I really needed to know, and I'm really excited for it. So I don't really want to know much else other than that, because I feel like this is the kind of book, like everything about it just feels very like purposefully not telling you much, and I'm gonna respect that and try not to know much going into it. I'm just very excited to read more by this author because I really enjoyed their last book. I have two other books that were sent to me. So the first one is Once Upon a K-Prom, and this one sounds so cute. It's by Kat Cho, who wrote the Wicked Fox series, and I really loved that series. I think it's also called the Gumiho series in other countries, and yeah, I really love that series. So I've been excited for this one because this is her, I think, contemporary debut. So in this one, we follow Elena Sue, whose childhood best friend Robbie Choi is now an international K-pop star, and that's all I needed to know. That's honestly, I love like stories like that. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, I don't know why, but like just stories like that are just one of my favorites when it comes to contemporaries, especially films. Like, I already know I want this adapted. Basically, he shows up at her doorstep one day and asks her to prom, and that is the synopsis of this one. It sounds very fun, and I am very excited to read. Then we have Witchings by Claribel Ortega, and I adore Claribel. I just think they are just such a kind and joyful presence online, and so I'm really excited for this one because it just sounds like such a fun middle grade fantasy novel. So basically we follow these three witchlings who live in this town, the town of Ravenskill, and every year the young witchlings participate in this ceremony that then places them into these different covens, and they're like all these different houses that like have different like sort of personalities. This year, 3 of them, including our main character Seven, ends up getting cast as spares, so they don't get placed into any coven. So then they have to go on this quest in order to also save these other witchlings who have not been given their magical abilities either. And it just sounds really fun and whimsical, and I love the whole like world building of it. And yeah, I just think it looks so cute and sounds so cute. So I've been really excited for this one, and this is definitely one that I'm probably going to read this fall, to be honest, because obviously witchlings, witch themed, it's going to be a perfect autumn read. So recently I was on this walk with my friend Matthew through the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, and we were just talking books, and he was telling about this anime that he was watching called Spy Family, and he just like really sold it to me and made it sound so fun. And I'm sure a lot of you like just got very excited when I said that name, because I feel like this anime and manga are everywhere right now. So I really wanted to read the manga so that I could also watch the anime. So I got the first 2 volumes of Spy Family, and I'm planning on reading these very soon. This just sounds so fun. Basically, we follow this guy who is a spy, and he has to put together a like fake family. So it's like very much found family vibes. So he like adopts this little girl who is also happens to be a telepath, and so she knows that he's not adopting her for like altruistic reasons, but she doesn't care because she just like wants a family, from what I understand. And then also he marries this woman who he just thinks is like, you know, a normal woman, but she ends up also being an assassin. And so this is their story, and it's supposed to be like very like, obviously it's a spy book, but it's also like supposed to have a lot of like found family vibes, and I just think it sounds great. So I'm really excited for this, and I'm excited to read it and just have a new anime and manga to be obsessed with. And I'm really excited because I feel like a lot of people are really obsessed with this one right now, so I'm excited to just like be part of that. So if any of you are also obsessed with this, let me know in the comments, because I feel like by the time this video goes up I will have read these, so we should definitely discuss. And now lastly, I have the books that I ended up picking up during my bookstore crawl with my friends Cindy and Elena. So the first bookstore we went to was Quimby's, and this was the first time I'd gone to this bookstore, and it's definitely become one of my new favorites in the city. It's just like such a cool space, and they have such a huge selection, especially of zines. And so I ended up picking 2 zines up. I got this one, which is just called Awesome Things, and it's literally just like the author writing out things that like are awesome and just make them happy, and I love things like that. Like, I don't know if you guys remember that like TikTok trend where people just shared things that like they thought was really cute that humans did. I love stuff like that. So for example, one of the awesome things in here is when a non-cat person allows the cat to investigate them. when I can't remember if I set up an account for a website, so I try username and password, and it turns out I actually do have an account, and that was the exact user info and password I used when I set it up. Like just things like that, like little cute things, and some of them are more personal, but yeah, I just really love that. And I love like little reminders like this of like finding beauty and joy in just the smallest things, because they really are the most beautiful things. So I got that one, and then I also got this little zine called You Can't Hug a Cloud, and I just really loved this last line in it. I don't think I'm spoiling anything by reading it. The author writes, "She couldn't hug her deceased loved one's soul, just like she couldn't hug a cloud, but she could take comfort in believing it exists in some form." And I just like kind of loved that, and I love clouds. I find them so comforting, and like my favorite thing of flying is like once I get over the like terror of takeoff, it's just like staring at the clouds. I just find them so, I don't know, there's something about them that I just find to be so soothing and like such a good reminder of, you know, life. I don't know, I sound silly, but I love it. And so these are the two little zines that I picked up, and I really love them, and I love just like exploring all the zines that Quimby's had. But I also did pick up a book from them too. I got Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, because I've never read anything by Octavia E. Butler, and I've been really wanting to. I feel like she definitely foretold a lot of things that have happened in the past few years, so I just feel like this will be a potentially very stressful read, but also like eye-opening, and I'm just excited to finally read some Octavia Butler and explore an author who I've been meaning to explore for a long time. But really the like first lines of the synopsis really got me. It's, when global climate change and economic crisis lead to a social chaos in the early 2020s, California becomes full of dangers, from pervasive water shortage to masses of vagabonds who will do anything to live to see another day. So yeah, sounds a little bit about like the life that we're currently living, or at least not that far off. So yeah, I'm intrigued to definitely fall into this one and just read what she has written. Actually, this next one I didn't pick up during a book crawl. I picked it up when my friend Tasman and I were at another bookstore, but going to talk about it now, and that is Gallant by Victoria Schwab, or V.E. Schwab. So this is a gothic novel, and it's one of those books I believe where like the house really has like its own personality, and I know that it's like about the main character who's going back home to kind of rediscover her family and try to understand her own history and herself, and yeah, that's really all I know, other than the fact that this is a stunning cover. This just looks like Crimson Peak embodied. I probably won't pick this up to read until like September, October, or unless I get in the mood for autumn in the summer. But yeah, it just is so pretty. So I was like, yeah, I need to pick that one up. Also, it's signed, so I was like, might as well get it now because I'm gonna want it eventually. And yeah, I'm very excited for it. And it definitely seems like it plays with some different types of like media forms. Like there's some like illustrations and like interesting usage of like text layouts in it. So I'm also intrigued to see that. So I will keep you all posted on what I think of that one. So back to the book crawl that I went on. I was specifically trying to find this one thriller. Oh, I forget the name of it now, but no one had it in stock, and at one of the bookstores I asked about it and they were like, we don't have that one in stock, but everyone has been reading this one and loving it. So I was like, okay, I'll get that one. And so that is Finley Donovan is Killing It. And this just sounds like a very funny thriller. In this one, we follow Finley Donovan, who is a very stressed single mother of 2, and she's also a novelist. And one day over lunch, she is discussing the plot of her new crime thriller with her agent on the phone, and someone overhears her and mistakes her for a like for-hire assassin, and so that sends her down this like just world of hijinks, and I just think it sounds so fun. And yeah, I'm definitely here for like a funny thriller, you know? That sounds great. So very excited for that. And now we have come to the final book in this book haul, and I'm so excited for it, and that is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. And this one was recommended to me also by my friend Matthew, and it was also apparently shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2020. Love that. But yeah, basically this was a blind buy for me. I basically picked it up because Matthew said he loved it, and that it's his favorite of, like, I feel like there's a lot of like myth retellings recently. I mean, I guess there have always been a lot of myth retellings, but I just feel like they're very big right now. They're having a big moment with like the Song of Achilles and Circe and why am I blanking on all the other ones? There's so many. And this was the one that he said was his favorite of all of them. So I was like, well, yes, I must have it. And this one seems to follow like a chorus of women from all these different Greek stories retold through this book. So I'm really excited for that. I love, you know, this idea of taking these women's stories and retelling them through a modern lens, a more feminist lens, if you will. So very, very excited to pick that one up. And I love a good Greek myth retelling. So very hyped. But yes, those are all of the books that I have recently picked up. I'm so excited about all of them. Again, I would love to hear from you all. What of these books, if you read any of them, if you are also excited for any of them or wanting to read any of them, or just let me know some of the books that you are excited about that you recently picked up. I'd love to hear all about it in the comments down below. If you want to find me elsewhere, I am on Instagram and TikTok, so be sure to find me there. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!